spent them here. For whatever be our watchword, conquer and prevail. Hail to thee, our alma mater, such plains Fenwood all hail. When across the world we wander, this will be our song. Honor, love, and true devotion, all to here belong. For whatever be our watchword, conquer and prevail. Hail to thee, our alma mater, such plains Fenwood all hail.
I'd like to call to order the June 20th, 2024 regular public meeting. Mr. Jones, can you please call the roll?
Ms. Barbie?
Here.
Ms. Bauer?
Here.
Ms. Zborov?
Here.
Ms. Brody?
Here.
Ms. Sirianni?
Here.
Ms. Williams?
Present.
Ms. Winkler?
Here.
Dr. Kolakowski?
Here.
Mr. Murray?
Here. Quorum is present. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we just left executive session. We spoke about personnel, legal status, and the suspension and detention report. We have 3 additions to the agenda. And I will now move to Dr. Mass for the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Doctor.
Doctor, I didn't earn that yet.
Thank you.
Haven't gotten it, but I'll
Mr.
take
Murray.
it.
So this has been a fantastic season of celebration, from our 4th grade celebrations of learning, our 8th grade moving up, our high school graduation, and I just want to thank all of our staff, educators, family, and community members for everything that they have done to celebrate our students. And we've also been very busy preparing for the referendum for SPF Future, and Christopher Jones will say a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so today we announced that we're going to only do 3 questions for the referendum. So the first question will be the new school in Fanwood, and the second question will be around expanding HVAC and fire alarms. So we just want to make sure the focus is on the top 2 items that are important to the school district, and we'll continue to do the roofs over time, and of course it will take a lot longer, but we're looking forward to rolling out of our message and communication this summer and into the fall.
Thank you, Mr. Jones.
Update for tonight, just we've started the pretty deep into the construction at Evergreen now, so pretty excited about that. We got a lot of things on the agenda tonight, items related to that construction. In addition, on the agenda tonight, I wanted to point out was the high school fields, football and the lower field sound system, a dual system. It's really 2 systems we'll be putting in, so I'm excited to start that process after this meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Board President announcement. The New Jersey Open Public Meeting Law is enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend the meetings of the public bodies at which any business affecting their interests is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of this Act, the Scottsboro Family Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published by having the date, time, and place thereof posted by the Board of Education offices located at 510 Cedar Street. Such notice was also provided in written notice form to the Union County Hawk, Star Ledger, and the Township Clerk of Scotch Plains, the Borough Clerk of Fanwood, and the revised annual notices of regularly scheduled meetings as adopted April 28, 2022. I would now like to pass over to our student representatives for their reports.
So the first thing, is sports seasons all ended at the beginning of June, and then secondly, senior project presentations were all on Monday, so all of our senior project participants made slideshows, trifolds, and like other ways to present what they learned, and they presented it to a bunch of people came in and asked questions, really got to know what we did for the last month, basically. And this project allowed us students to get a glimpse into what their future careers might be. So I thought it was really beneficial and an awesome way to end up the year.
June 11th was a really exciting day for our theater program. We had the Paper Mill Rising Star Awards, and we had two winners, David Gomez for Best Performer in a Leading Role, and Ashley Hoberman for Best Performance in a Feature Role. And it's such a great experience to go. It's so cool to perform up on that stage, and it's my second time doing it this year. This year I watched in the audience, I wasn't on stage, but it's just such a cool experience for our theater program. We also had prom the past 2 weeks. Junior prom was May 31st, and senior prom was June 14th, and I attended junior prom, and it was a lot of fun, and I know Syra had fun at senior prom, so yeah.
And finally, graduation was on Tuesday. So it was a great time. It was a little bit hot, but it was awesome to be there, and it was bittersweet for a lot of seniors, but at the same time, we're all excited for what comes next. Yeah, that's it.
Thank you both. Okay, we have recognition and instructional update. We have a presentation this evening.
So we'd like to ask Dr. Slocum and Tashira Wheeler to come up to present the Juneteenth quilt.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Tashira Wheeler. I'm a proud educator here in our Scotch Plains-Fanwood School District, but I'm here tonight representing as the current president of Social Justice Matters Incorporated and the chairperson of the SJM Juneteenth Committee. Thank you, Dr. Mast, and the members of the Scotch Plains-Fanwood Board of Education for allowing me to speak during this special moment of your board meeting. I am grateful for the support and connection that our school district has with our community organization and for allowing our students to learn about and participate in the celebration of Juneteenth through our Freedom Quilt project. Juneteenth marks the day when the last enslaved Americans in the United States learned that they were indeed emancipated and no longer bound to a master and viewed as property. I use the word Americans because all of those men, women, and children were indeed Americans and entitled to the rights and freedoms that all Americans can enjoy. The continued study of this holiday is important not only to African American history, but American history. It is with great honor and pride that I introduce to you all the Social Justice Matters Incorporated 2024 Freedom Award honorees and the recipients of the beautiful quilt created by our 3rd and 4th grade students. I thank the students, the teachers, and Mrs. Cavalieri especially for creating such a beautiful gift. And I have asked Mr. and Mrs. Simmons for a short bio, but just as I stated last night at our Juneteenth program, for legends such as they are, please permit me to read their bio in its entirety. Thurman and Ruby have been residents of Scotch Plains for over 57 years and are the proud parents of Thurman P.J. Simmons Jr. and Karen Denise Simmons, and the grandparents of 3 awesome, beautiful grandchildren. Thurman and Ruby celebrated their 61st wedding anniversary in 2024. Thurman retired from Merck & Company Incorporated in Rahway, New Jersey in December 2013 after 35 years of service. He is a licensed New Jersey State Realtor, licensed in 1990. Thurman became a part-time employee for the DPW in Scotch Plains upon his retirement from Merck. Ruby retired early from AT&T Basking Ridge in 1998 and pursued a career in teaching English language arts in the Plainfield District, retiring in 2008 and continuing as an adjunct professor in the English department at Union College, Cranford, New Jersey, and as an ELA mentor coach at Union County Teams Charter School in Plainfield, New Jersey to date. The John Shippen Memorial Golf Committee commenced in 1991. Thurman led the initiative to form a 501c3 foundation in 1996, becoming its chair, with Ruby as co-chair, scholarship chair. As a history buff, Thurman knew that John Matthew Shippen Jr. and the Shady Rest Golf and Country Club were a gem right here in Scotch Plains. John Matthew Shippen Jr. was the first American and the first African American to play in a USGA tournament in 1896. In 1924, Shippen became the golf pro and greenskeeper at Shady Rest. He remained at Shady Rest until his retirement in 1960. He was buried in 1968 in an unmarked grave in Rosedale Cemetery. Thurman diligently and patiently researched records to locate Shippen's gravesite, and the foundation and committee members placed a fitting tombstone with the words, "The first American and the first African-American golf professional." In addition, Thurman and Ruby were voted volunteer couple in Scotch Plains, receiving a New Jersey Senate and General Assembly joint resolution signed by the President of the Senate and Speaker of the General Assembly dated May 1st, 2015. Ruby served on the Scotch Plains Zoning Board for 3 years. Thurman is the founder, CEO of the John Shippen Youth Golf Academy, JSYGA, which was started in 2003 and continues annually at Shady Rest at Scotch Hills through the gratis partnership of the Township of Scotch Plains and the Recreation Department. The JSYGA is on hiatus, looking for a gratis coach to receive an important aspect of teaching young students the game of golf and the history of John Matthew Shippen. The Shippen Foundation has awarded over $50,000 in scholarships. Thurman and Ruby are the original members of the Save Shady Rest Committee and continue as members to date. They are members of Social Justice Matters Incorporated. Ruby has served on the Preservation New Jersey Board for 3 years. A John Matthew Shippen Jr. U.S. Postal Stamp Initiative began in February of 2015 and continues to date. A golf legend, a memoir of our journey to honor a forgotten hero, John Matthew Shippen Jr. launched on Amazon in May of 2024. They are the proud authors of that book. The foundation supports and donates to Scotch Plains Rescue Squad, Patrick's Downtown 5K Race 2023, Social Justice Matters Incorporated, the National Council of Negro Women. Thurman and Ruby have appeared in documentaries and newspaper articles on John Shippen, images in black and white on ESPN in 2004. The History Detectives cable station validating Shippen's crafted putter. The New York Post in June 2018. The Record Press in 2007, the Star Ledger, Newark, New Jersey in 1993 and 2008. JSYGA was featured in the Courier News, Bridgewater, New Jersey in 2005. And they were on Fox Sports 2018 U.S. Open John Shippen feature. To me, they are my modern day Ozzie Davis and Ruby Dee. Activists in the movement for education and equitable resources for all. They are researchers, authors, and scholars, and I count them among some of our great scholars, such as Henry Louis Gates Jr., Cornel West, Katherine Johnson, and Angela Davis. To sit at their feet and listen to their wisdom is an honor, and I will cherish this moment for all of my days. Please join with me as we congratulate our 2024 Freedom Award honorees, Mr. and Mrs. Thurman and Ruby Simmons. So on behalf of our children and the school district, on behalf of Social Justice
behalf of Thurman and I, we would like to thank the Juneteenth Committee for selecting us as their Freedom for 2024. I'm a little taken away. As a teacher, you know you're constantly talking, and now I'm looking for words. We really have enjoyed our journey, and we have published a book, a memoir of our journey, of going through and getting John Shippen recognized in the United States. Thurman received his PGA card in 2009 in his place, and we have been diligently working and keeping Shady Rest and John Shippen a part of Scotch Plains history. We will be giving a book to the library so that it will be there for students to read, and it will take them through 1998 till date of how Shady Rest and John Shippen have become a part of Scotch Plains. I think I'm running out of things to say, and I don't want to cry, so keep going. Would you like to say something?
Yes, I'd like to thank the Board of Education for having us here. I'd like to thank the Justice Matters Committee for nominating us. We had something the other day, they made me cry. I don't usually cry, but I'm glad that I'm here in Scotch Plains. Scotch Plains has been wonderful to our family. We educated our children here. It's a great system. You guys do a good job. Keep up the good works. It's just that I wish that the town of Scotch Plains would recognize the gym that they have here. They don't understand the history behind this man and what he had to do to get to where he had to go. And I thought it was a shame that the golf world didn't do what they were supposed to do about it. So I just took it upon myself to do it. And it looked like it turned out great because we're going out to Detroit tomorrow for the third year, where they have the John Shippen National Invitation every year. It's held in Detroit, Michigan. If you watch the last round of the Rocket Mortgage Classic, which is coming up the week of the 27th, an hour before the broadcast of the final round of the Rocket Mortgage Tournament, you'll see a whole hour of the John Shippen National Invitation that's going to be played at the Detroit Country Club Saturday and Sunday of this week. So we'll be in Detroit, you know, enjoying what these guys have actually understood what we were trying to do, and they've done a good job so far. Thank you very much. Appreciate everything.
For those of you who are not aware of the Shippen Invitational, John Shippen was not able to receive a PGA card and play in many of the PGA tournaments. The Shippen Invitational is an opportunity. They play for 2 days, and the winner of the Shippen Invitational on the men's side and on the women's side get an opportunity to walk on to an official PGA tournament. Many African American golfers do not have the opportunity to play in the PGA. So the Shippen Invitational gives them an opportunity to show their skills, and the winner of that Shippen Invitational will play in the Rocket Mortgage PGA. We just went to the LPGA at the Montclair Golf Course, and the winner of the women's Shippen Invitational was a awesome 15-year-old from Arizona. She won the Invitational, and she had the opportunity to walk on into the official LPGA tournament. So it has been a journey of love to expose African American golfers and keep Scotch Plains, Shady Rest, and John Shippen part of the United States and part of our community. Thank you so much, and we really appreciate it. And I know a special thank you to Social Justice Matters. They do an excellent participation here in Scotch Plains, and we are just honored. Thank you.
Thank you very much for this time. Thank you.
Thank you.
I am so thankful that you are continuing to keep his memory alive and being an advocate for Shady Rest. As a resident of Scotch Plains for almost 50 years, I had the pleasure of going to school with your children, and I appreciate the hard work that the Social Justice Matters Committee does, as well as John Shippen. I was actually at Shady Rest a couple weeks ago, and to see the transformation in the museum is remarkable, so thank you.
So certainly this story is an inspiration to all of us, and we're so happy that our students could have a hand in making that quilt to honor your work. Thank you for taking the time, and thank you to Social Justice Matters for bringing it to the Board of Education.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to move on to public comment. In accordance with Scotch Plains Fanwood Public School Bylaws 0164 and 0165, the meeting will be open for 15 minutes for public comments. Maximum 3 minutes per speaker. Speakers addressing superintendent items, business functions, and other board business will be heard first, and time remains. Speakers may address other matters. Speakers, please state your name and the town in which you reside. Please note boards use the public comment period as an opportunity to listen to citizen concerns, but not to debate issues or enter into a question and answer session or cross-examination between the public and the individual members. Be aware that not all issues brought before the board will be resolved that evening. Boards may respond to public comment by seeking additional information or by delegating the authority to investigate the issues to the superintendent or her designee. So I will now open up public comment for 15 minutes. If you have something that you want to say, please come to the mic, speak your name and town in which you reside.
Ready? John Denning, Scotch Plains. For many years, my wife and I were strong supporters of the public schools, believing that a free education was one of the great gifts this country had to offer. My wife was a room mother and ended up sharing lunches, and again, I cut and stapled thousands of slips for that program and lugged 50 pounds of soil in for a demonstration on career day. We even got our church to sponsor one of your events. However, as we peered beyond the facade that this district hides behind, we saw an ugly truth, all the more disturbing because it involved a disregard for the safety of our children. It started when our child was placed with an activist teacher. We trusted she would leave her activism at the school door, but that was not the case. As related by other parents and district staff, including close coworkers, she had a history of using the classroom to promote her own personal spiritual, social, and political views, and aggressively so. Naively, we followed the rules. We wrote to Dr. Slocum and we expressed our concerns. As they related to our beliefs, we include a very explicit statement at the end that for the safety of our child, their safety, their identity was to remain confidential. There was no mistaking the directness of our language. It took Dr. Slocum a mere 10 minutes to violate this sacred trust we placed in her when she forwarded that email, completely unredacted, to Dr. Mast. I believe Dr. Mast has made her stance on Christians who want to follow their beliefs plain, not through the empty words she has spoken, but by the way she has judged a man simply for being Christian. This was the first endangerment of our child in this process. The next day it was related to us by sources within the administration that Dr. Slocum and Dr. Mast met. Their first priority should have been the safety of our child, but alas, it was not. The first priority was assisting this teacher in using the classroom to push her woke religion upon the children. You see, after meeting with Dr. Mast, Dr. Slocum that very evening forwarded our message unredacted to the classroom teacher. Imagining our feeling of betrayal, when a few days later, our child innocently informed us that the teacher had had all the Christians raise their hands that day. We also know that other emails with sensitive information were carelessly and needlessly forwarded around the district. Shortly after that, we believe our child was targeted for special political re-education, being sent home with a steady stream of books authored by heroes of the liberal faith. There is no excuse for this behavior. I understand that elements of this administration feel that non-conforming beliefs should be eradicated and actively work with a group who has that stated goal to remove other people's beliefs. There's nothing you can do to make this better. The damage is done. This was the beginning of the process whereby we had to liberate our children from this district. Shamefully, I have seen no effort to improve, but rather the problem grows only worse. You cannot fix what has been done, but you can do better. This district must be reclaimed for the benefit and the protection of the students. If you're not willing to act for the students, each of you should submit your resignation tomorrow. Our child's privacy was violated, our parental directive for confidentiality was violated, our child's safety was compromised, our faith was targeted, our child was targeted. No other parent should have to go through this, but many others have.
Thank you, Mr. Denning. Does anyone else have a public comment?
Good evening. Eileen Villar, Vinnie Pucci, Scotch Plains. We came to you in November, we came to you in December, we came to you in January. We sent an email to Dr. Mast, Mr. Jones, and Mr. Miller, and we asked you two things, with a lot of words with it. We asked you to please reinstate the JV ice hockey coach at the high school, and we asked you for a more robust season for these children so that they could learn, develop, and play. To my knowledge, you heard us, and you listened. And as far as I understand, the position for the JV ice hockey coach was posted on the district website. And if I'm not mistaken, if word gets around, you might be voting on that tonight. So we came to say thank you. You voted for our children. You heard us. This is a small niche group of kids in a small sport that isn't ice hockey. It isn't soccer. It isn't other sports like that are in Scotch Plains. So you listened to us and you voted on these children for their safety, for their development, for their part of being a Raider. So we came and we brought some of them tonight. And I'd like to introduce you to Anthony Gellinella, Jonathan Stawinski, Kyle Rickey, Santino Barcelona, Nico Pucci, John Nocera, and Jack Villar. These are just a few of the kids that you voted for. Thank you.
Thank you.
Colleen Gellinella, Scotch Plains. I would like to echo the sentiment that was already expressed and certainly offer our gratitude. We are excited about the talent and the ideas that this new individual will be bringing to the position. I do want to just make sure we continue the conversation around the importance for a complete JV season for next year. With the appointment of an assistant coach, there's certainly some flexibility as to how that position can be applied. Last year, the families who paid for a JV ice hockey season watched their children play in 4 essentially scrimmages with local communities. And I know that we plan as a community to do better for our players and for their families who work very hard to support an extremely expensive sport. This year, we have few students leaving and graduating who played varsity hockey, so there will be very few positions on the varsity team, number of students moving up, and you graciously are supporting them with the appointment of an assistant coach. The next step is to make sure that following that appointment, a very specific action and very thoughtful consideration is given to how to make sure that there is a comprehensive season for them. I just want to end by wishing all of you an amazing summer, congratulating you on very, very, very beautiful ceremonies outside, thanking you for the work that you do, and wishing you all the best for a happy and healthy summer where you can maybe catch your breath before we start to think about just what that JV season looks like next year. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Jones.
Hi, my name is Jane Reutman and I'm from Scotch Plains. Some of you may have heard my name. Some of you continue to ignore my emails. People are here for many different reasons today, and I'm here to speak about anti-Semitism within the district and it becoming a statistic. The swastika incident was the first, at TMS was the first to catch my attention. I did appreciate the assembly, the callback from Dr. Mast, the acting principal discussing it then, but after that, my email suggestions, requests, and his promises were all swept under the rug. Then came the book. The book, which originally was titled The Scar of David, but was presented as Mornings in Jenin, that's how indoctrination of our teachers to students begins. And as you know, in the country, it's growing rampant. Healthy debate should not include my homeland being wiped off the map. It was concerning to see this choice in between anxiety and art books as a discussion that should exist amongst faculty. At School 1, a child presented a map with the word Palestine written over Israel. I had it printed out, brought it to Dr. Mast. We should be teaching accurate history, and there should be some fact-checking done by teachers. I have concerns regarding a very vocal teacher in the district posting on social media that Israel should not exist. I'm worried that she'll be unable to be impartial to her Jewish students. If we're committed as a district to fight anti-Semitism, how can we be employing an anti-Semite? I've submitted proof of her vocal comments against Israel's right to exist in public forums. We shouldn't tolerate this kind of hate speech amongst our own faculty. I've sent email after email after email, all ignored. You might have seen my Facebook posts on a daily basis talking about a Holocaust survivor. I've written numerous emails, got one reply from Dr. McGarry telling me that he needs assistance in possibly finding Holocaust survivors. I provided over 20. I made a Facebook post, reached out to hundreds of people. I gave him emails, phone numbers, and everything. Crickets. Email after email. Post after post on Facebook. Nothing was even said in TMS about Jewish History Month or Asian History Month until my emails got more and more rampant. Actually, I've heard from students that teachers and nurses were talking about me. I don't know, I became famous and a self-appointed anti-Semite and anti-Semite activist for the district. I'm sure my emails are neatly being squared away into file while they are continuing to be ignored, but at the same time, these incidents are also being recorded on our end. I've only named a few, and as the self-appointed / elected Jewish voice for the Scotch Plains, there are many more that won't fit into the 3 minutes that I have to speak. But hey, if someone would ever email me back, call me back, I'm always ready to talk and discuss any of these incidents. We have a new school year coming up. Do better. Thank you for your time, and have a nice summer.
Thanks, Ms. Ruffin.
Gary Morris, Fanwood. I always have people leave when I get on this page, it's just a thing. Anyway, I want to talk about the new, the referendum. I think looking at that school and the property, I think the thought of making that for 500 students is not right. I don't think it's fair to the kids to have such a small property, 3.88 acres. I did some research. The recommended size of an elementary school property is 5 acres plus 1 acre per 100 students. That would make it a 10-acre requirement. It's not a requirement, it's a suggestion. I happened to go by the school the other day. It's currently being rented, and there was probably 60 to 100 kids on that little tiny playground there. It's just not right. It's 10 feet from a road. How are you going to secure that? None of our other schools have a play area that's 10 feet from a road. There's also a lot of things that have to be done with sidewalks in the area, which I get that. But I think we really need to look long and hard at the number of students. I'm not against purchasing the school, but I think the the proposal to invest $71 million into it, when, again, if you look at the projections of the number of students, when you compare the 2022 projections to the 2024 projections, they're very different. That means 2022 wasn't accurate, but that could also mean that 2024 is also not accurate. Because again, you're projecting to the future. From what I understand, there's going to be an enrollment cliff around 2026. Investing $71 million just seems kind of foolish if we could potentially hit that cliff. The birth rate is just not cutting it right now. And again, I understand different communities have different rates of, population, but I think we need to look long and hard at, I don't think that facility should have more than 200 students. Why not repurpose it for the school board offices so we don't have to rent for the time being? And it's already a school, right? There's already a school in that school. Can't we use that for pre-K, get it with minimal cost to the community? And then in 2 years, if there is this population explosion, we could always invest later. Is it possible, since you just went from 3 questions down to 2, could we go back to 3 and have the first question be by the school? And then have the renovation as question 2, and then have the air conditioning as question 3. Is it possible to do that? Because bearing in mind the decision to have this vote, we didn't have the projection, the 2024 projection of the population. So again, that was based on to me, it was kind of hasty to push that out before we even knew what that new projection was going to be, because it changed in the month of May. Again, I really think, I implore you to take another look at it. That road is extremely busy. We had a road closed the other day, and I live on that road, okay? The cars were as far as you could see. So one little hiccup on that road, and having 500 students down there.
That's what you're talking, you
Yeah.
just finish your thoughts.
Okay, so if having 500 students having to go there, we don't have the sidewalks. Amy, you live on that road. You know there's not sidewalks on that road. That's a dangerous road to walk on for small children. There's no doubt about it. And you can't put it on your side of the street. It's going to have to be on the other side of the street. Those people are going to be very upset when there's sidewalks going in on their yards. It's going to be a battle as it is. But I think paring it down, my understanding is it was 200 before. Let's keep it that way.
Thank you, Mr. Morris.
John Denning, Scotch Plains.
Mr. Denning, before you go, is there anyone else we just usually, if there's anybody else for public comment before Mr. Denning takes the secretary? Thank you. Go ahead.
Yep, no problem. So John Denning, Scotch Plains. So I want to start with a little historical correction first, because earlier one of our teachers said that Juneteenth represented the freeing of all Americans, and it did not. Represented when Union troops entered Galveston, Texas, and freed the last slaves under the Emancipation Proclamation. But tens of thousands of Americans remained in slavery legally after that until the passing, the ratification of the 13th Amendment much later. It's also important to remember that slavery still exists in this country today, and of all things we're going to go after, we should focus on eradicating that instead of other things. A couple quick comments on the referendum. On the SPF Future site, May 13th, the projection for the 26-27 school year was 5,727. 3 days later, that projection was 5,959. 232 additional students, and the current enrollment lost 50, so a 280 student swing. How did this happen? How are we basing plans on numbers that change like this? That's one. 2, during the public forum, I asked about redistricting, and I was told that that had not been considered yet the district was in possession of a demographer's report that supported exactly what I said, which is that 30% of our elementary students will have to change their schools when this plan goes into effect. 30%, almost 1 in 3. Finally, The referendum is intended for the public to decide. You have linked the referendum items together, claiming priority. The point of the referendum is that the public gets to decide the priority. You should decouple these referendum items and let the public decide, instead of trying to influence towards purchasing the building by holding the air conditioning hostage if that's what people want. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tennant. Any other public comment? Seeing none, I'll close this portion. We're going to go back to an instructional update. I believe, Dr. Rabimis, you have a report, an update. Thank you.
Good evening. This evening I have the SSDS public report. The SSDS combines two state testing reporting systems, the electronic violence and vandalism reporting system, and the harassment, intimidation, and bullying investigations, trainings, and program system. The SSDS data presented is based on 5 identified categories by the State Department of Education and is entered biannually into the reporting system. This data is reported publicly to the board 2 times a year. The following data is for the reporting period of September 2023 and December 2023. In the category of violence, there were 2 incidents reported, vandalism, 1 incident, weapons, 2, substance, 0, HIB had 10 confirmed cases and 15 alleged cases. The HIB cases were investigated by the district's anti-bullying coordinator, LaKendra McFadden, and the school's anti-bullying specialist, Jessica Ness, LaKendra McFadden, Amanda Wolf, Lauren Markovitz, Chrissy Krasovsky, Jason Cross, Lori Ladovsky, Amanda Moser, Denise Palazzola, Candace Kilmer, Suzanne Wojcik, and additional investigators were April Chastain, Kaylin Franz, Kathy Hoffman, and Katie Phelps. Regardless of the outcome of each HIB investigation, each case identifies remediations for the students involved, including bystanders. Remediations included planned check-ins with the school counselor, SAS, and/or school principal, class and grade level interactive lessons focused on understanding cultural biases and how they play out in people's behaviors, class and grade level lessons on how to be upstanders and establishing common language to respond to biased behavior, SAS-led discussions on how to navigate peer relationships, deal with challenging situations that arise between friends, and how to resist peer pressure, student-centered poster activities detailing anti-bullying behavior and how to be an upstander, and reflective drawing strategies to use for de-escalating conflict and engaging in positive peer talk. Each school also conducted trainings to support a safe school climate. This year, there were district-assigned instructional time at the elementary level for morning meeting. Morning meeting also includes responsive classroom activities. To support its implementation, instructional aides were also trained on responsive classroom activities and the importance of the morning meeting time so they could support the teachers in the classroom. The elementary school continues to implement the second step social emotional curriculum and training that supports its implementation. The district also continues to focus on one of its strategic goals by implementing professional development for all teachers and aides on diversity, equity, and inclusion. Our district also held trainings and meetings on implementing logical consequences for infractions, reviewing and updating the suicide risk assessment protocols, reporting procedures for the New Jersey Anti-Bullying Bill of Rights, implementing crisis prevention strategies, de-escalating students in crisis, and energizing educators, navigating burnout, shaping culture, and leading with positivity. Finally, students and staff have participated in programming to support safe school climates. It is divided. I'm going to present our programming in 3 tiers. Tier 1 is program focused on large groups of students. Tier 2 on smaller groups of students, and Tier 3 on individual interventions for students. I'll just highlight some of those areas. In Tier 3, we had curriculum interventions and programming on Second Step, anti-bullying classroom lessons, morning meeting and responsive classrooms. At the secondary level, we had our PALS program, our LEADS program, STAR program using the ruler approach, our 7th grade project adventure, and at all levels we had classroom lessons on diversity, equity, and inclusion. We also held week-long special programming. We had the Week of Respect, the Sandy Hook Promise, Start with Hello, Health and Wellness Week, World Kindness Day, Diabetes Awareness Week, School Spirit Week, Anti-Violence and Awareness Week, Physical Education, Health, Fitness, and Wellness Week, and Hispanic Heritage Spirit Week activities. For specific activities at the school levels, we had student ambassadors, orientation programs, socials, Freaky Deaky food drive, staff kickball games, specific clubs, community service activities, the Tuskegee Airmen Challenge, morning announcements, kindness shout-outs, and SEL Word of the Month activities. The schools also held assemblies focused on school climate and culture. The Great and Powerful Dave Anti-Bullying Assembly, and Mikey Fallon presented at the for the high school at the 9th grade. We had student recognition programs, character race programs, and student spotlights. For our Tier 2 programming, we had social skills groups, SAS classroom lessons, new student programming, getting to know you, activities, lunch bunches, new parent orientations, and a new student meet and greet with the PAL students. Our Tier 3 programming for individual students, we had one-on-one check-ins with the SASs, school counselors, and child study team members. We had interventions implemented by Rutgers Behavioral Health Counseling and Effective School Solutions wraparound program for students who were recommended and accepted into that program. So those are all of our reporting for the fall of 2023.
Thank you, Dr. Urban. Anybody have any questions? Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
So we'll move on to additional reports, letters to the board, 4 emails were received and were sent to the appropriate administrator. I'm going to move over to committee reports. Who wants to?
The curriculum committee met. Okay. Is this working?
Yeah.
Okay. The curriculum committee met on June 11th. We had a few agenda items. The first was talking about partnership with Kane University and pre-service teachers in our public schools here, specifically in McGinn School. 2 teachers, Amanda Marchica and Dorothy Lusk, discussed their roles as adjunct faculty in the early childhood department at Kane, which grew out of the grant that our district had with Kane and teacher mentoring that began in 2016, which we've spoken about before. In their current roles as adjunct professors, Ms. Lusk and Ms. Marchica organize pre-service teachers for 50 hours each year for field instruction in the classrooms at McGinn. The goals for these pre-service teachers are supporting the teacher's early career to stay in the profession, improve satisfaction of pre-service teachers, harness teacher leadership and expertise at McGinn, increase pre-service teachers' engagement in the classroom, and increase their conscious competence. They also connect pre-service teachers with their specific interest areas, like perhaps special education, and provide explanations of instructional practices, student learning profiles and modifications, general engagement in the classroom, creating an effective classroom environment, communicating with families, equity and inclusion. They are discussing how to continue and expand teacher leadership and support within the district to retain new teachers and increase job satisfaction. And just to hear their energy and passion with this initiative of bringing pre-service teachers to McGinn was really exciting for our committee. The second agenda item was discussing summer assignments for various courses. It says for informational purposes, but that's an error. We are voting on that tonight on the agenda. And the third agenda item, and the board received a copy of the summer assignments, Third agenda item is the curriculum matrix for 24-25. We are also voting on that. We vote on that every year at this time, and this includes updated course proficiencies. And the board received a copy of the entire curriculum matrix as well. Our next meeting will be TBD the end of August to hear about all of the summer work.
Thank you, Mr. Ryan. Any questions for Mr. Ryan?
I just had a comment. I was so excited, and yeah, the way that you just described it, seeing the teacher's energy, I was really excited when I read the report that you gave about the program, especially just having those two teachers, and it's so aligned with our strategic plan and keeping young educators interested, and it's such a great role model for our students in everything that we're doing. So I just, great highlight, thank you.
Hopefully some of them will come back and teach here.
Yes.
Ms. Brody? You can.
Okay. Community Relations Committee met, and we discussed the referendum communication strategy with Laura Bishop, and once we have the final figures from the state, we can effectively communicate via the different modes that we discussed. This would include print material as well as attending community events, and more details to follow. And Finance Committee met. We had an Evergreen project update. The scope is being adapted to include 2 bathrooms and new windows on the side wall, and 1 classroom is going to be larger. This space is still targeted for completion in September, except for the 2 additional bathrooms. There still will be bathrooms. These are just 2 additional bathrooms. There was a food service RFP, and only Pomptonian at the time of the meeting had come to the schools to tour the lunchroom. There will be an RFP annually for this service with specific parameters for submission, and survey results will be reviewed with Pomptonian as well. We discussed the lunch past due balances, and the policy committee is reviewing the current policy to see what we can amend to help deter this issue. All who had overdue balances have been called. 61 students make up 90% of the overdue balance, which at the time of the report was $23,000. Subscription busing, the proposed increase is from $950 to $1,100. It's a 14% increase. This affects approximately 25 families. Our cost is $2,000 per student, so it's still less than what it costs us. We discussed wireless access points, $234,000 for updates to the equipment that we currently have. Equipment purchased in 2016 expires in 26, and equipment purchased in 2020 also expires. We need to upgrade the equipment because there are no longer any software updates. The funds are coming from extraordinary aid, and this cost already reflects our E-rate discount of 40%. And the sound system at the time of the meeting, Mr. Jones was waiting for one more quote of the football and lower field. And that is it.
Thank you, Ms. Brody. Any comments? Any other reports? Okay, seeing none, we move on.
I think there is we do the policy later.
Yeah. So I think you had a district placement, right?
Yeah.
So we're going to move to F, Superintendent Curriculum 23-24 of district placement.
Okay, so move the board approves the additional 23-24 school year out of district placements. 2, move that the board approves the HIB discussed in executive session on May 7th. 3, move that the board acknowledges the receipt of the 2024 biannual gifts for the high school, Evergreen, McGinn, and Brunner. 4, the board approves the report that Dr. Rabimbis just gave on HIB and SSDS for the time period of September 23 to December 23. And 5, move the board approves the matrix of forms. 6, the board approves the 2024 student summer assignments. And 7, moves that the board approves Wayne Millette to serve as the administrator for the 2024 Creative Summer Workshop.
Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Do you have any comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We're going to move on to now Superintendent Curriculum 24-25 school year.
Move that the board approves the additional extended school year 24 and 2024-2025 school year out-of-district placements. 2, move that the Board of Education approves the Danielson rubric for teacher evaluation and the Marshall rubric for administrator supervisor evaluation. And 3, move that the board approves the curricular matrix that Mrs. Sirianni just mentioned for the 24-25 school year. And 4, move that the board provides the superintendent authorization for summer decisions.
Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Who was that?
Second. Okay.
Amy, Ms. Winkler, and second was Ms. Brody. No?
Me.
You seconded? Okay.
I didn't know something.
Just want to make sure Mr. Jones has, because we're going to do roll call for all that, because we have to do roll call for curriculum.
Yep.
So do we have any comments or questions on any of this? Mr. Jones, can you call the roll?
Ms. Barvey?
Yes.
Ms. Bauer?
Yes.
Ms. Boroff?
Yes.
Ms. Brody?
Yes.
Ms. Sirianni?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Ms. Winkler?
Yes.
Dr. Kolkowski?
Yes.
Mr. Murray?
Yes. Motion passes. All right, we're going to move on to personnel. Dr. Mast.
Move that the board approves the superintendent's recommendations for personnel as discussed in exec this evening. And 2, move that the board approves the following, the listed board official appointments for the 24-25 school year. And that's it.
Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Dr. Kolkowski, seconded. Ms. Boroff. Any comments or questions? Mr. Jones, please call the roll.
Ms. Barvey?
Yes.
Ms. Bauer?
Yes.
Ms. Boroff?
Yes.
Ms. Brody?
Yes.
Ms. Sirianni?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Ms. Winkler?
Yes.
Dr. Kolkowski?
Yes.
Mr. Murray?
Yes. Motion passes. All right, Mr. Jones, business functions 23-24 school year.
Okay. Staff training, related services, the special ed agreement we talked about, and then 4 through 14 are all evergreen. We have to, the one thing here is the emergent project is we have to pass this in order to get state approval quickly to upgrade the fire alarm at Evergreen. Number 15 is the wireless access points that Ms. Brody talked about. 16 is donation of Runner Garden. 17 is updated resolution for the referendum that the state wanted tweaked a little bit. 18 is an easement at the Nettingham Field for about 10 feet for some construction there. They're going to give us some trees as well as part of the deal for us to allow them to use the 10 feet. Free and reduced lunch balance forgiveness that Ms. Brody discussed. 20 is for the end of the year audit. 21 library book disposal, and then 22 fire drills. 23 for financial reports, payment of bills, and disbursement listings.
Do we have a motion to approve the current year business functions?
So moved.
Ms. Brody?
Second.
Ms. Williams is a second. Any comments or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Mr. Jones, we're going to move now to the 24-25 school year functions.
Yep. Food service store, again, Pomptonian was the only bidder. 24-25 lunch prices. 3 is the transportation renewals. 4, McGinney-Vento, standard resolution yearly. 5 is our professional services, and this will be advertised in the newspaper as well. Our district insurance, our facilities applications. This is for the modular temporary instruction spaces at Terrell for Nettingham. 8 is a standard resolution for athletics. 9 is for our SLEOs, a new agreement. 10 is our technology renewals. 11 is our VOTEC students. 12 is with Union County ESC for special education and for managing our non-public funding from the state. 13 is for our policies management. 14 is for our insurance broker. 15 is for our medical broker. 16 is our yearly grants. There'll be another one in August. They weren't, usually we have additional grants on here, but they weren't released yet, so we'll have to put them in on August, even though they start in a week or two. Standard TD Bank is our bank, it's number 17. 18 is we use Data for classroom supplies. Data puts classroom supplies out to bid and selects the lowest bidder, and then from those lowest bids, our teachers purchase supplies. This is the approval of those. 19 is subscription busing we talked about. 20 through 24 is these are vendors that we use through state contract or ESC. They've already been bid for the lowest amounts, but anything that's over the bid threshold of 44,000 needs to be board approved. 25 is our yearly asset inventory that's required by the audit. 26 is renewing with our New Jersey school insurance group. These are added to the agenda. Our parent transportation contracts, we want to get these on because ESY starts next week. And 28 is the high school speakers that I talked about previously.
A lot of items that you guys have all talked about, so do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Any comments or questions? Mr. Jones?
I have one question.
Sure.
Last year was Pumptonian also our only,
Oh,
last year was Pumptonian our only bidder.
So we haven't bid for over 5 years. So you're required by the state to do a bid every 5 years, and so they were up. So this is the first time it's been that we put it out.
Okay.
So I don't know 5 years ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
I didn't remember either, so
Yeah,
that's
I'm
why I
not
was
sure.
asking.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any other comments for Mr. Jones? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, procedural.
Okay, these are just the yearly procedural for next year, starting in July. Authorization to pay bills when they're due, so we don't pay late fees. We use Robert's rules at board meetings, chart of accounts for New Jersey schools. I maintain records, budget transfers between meetings, our petty cash fund, our 403, 457 vendors, and our board policy readoption.
So moved. Second.
Ms. Winker, Ms. Boroff. She beat you to it. Any comments or questions on the procedural? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We are now on to board policies.
Yeah, so we met on June 11th, the policy committee, to discuss the excessive lunch account arrears that...
Amy, speak up.
We can't hear you. The policy committee met on June 11th to discuss the excessive lunch account arrears that both Ms. Brody and Mr. Jones mentioned earlier in this meeting. We are discussing possible changes to our policy 8500 on food services so that we can find ways to address this.
Just add that after we printed the agenda, I uploaded a draft of the wording, not the complete wording, but the content of what we're thinking of doing in there. So I think if everyone can review that. As part of last year's audit, we have to do something, we're required. So hopefully we will approve this in August and start to execute.
Thank you. New board business, anyone? Other board business, liaison reports.
You can go. Mine's the short one. So we had our final CPAD meeting. It's always the first, well, in 23, 24, it was always the first Monday of the month. It was a great meeting. They shared who the elected staff members are to the board. And then we also had our special services team came in and they reviewed the transition process from both 8th to 9th grade, and then just a general sort of discussion about high school. But mostly it was really informative. Parents asked some really good questions. I'm very excited to share that feedback from parents is being relayed to staff and administration. Conversations are taking place very constructively. And I'm really proud of the parents that have come together, and I really encourage other parents to get involved and learn from each other, and that's it.
Thank you, Ms. Barr.
Garden State Coalition of Schools had their annual meeting on May 22nd, and I just picked out a few things to highlight. The president of Garden State talked about, and we had a great group. A lot of people here were in attendance. And she started off talking about VUCA, which is volatility, uncertainty, chaos, complexity, and ambiguity that all the school districts are dealing with, and went on to talk about Garden State being a beacon in terms of advocating for school districts in Trenton. The keynote speaker was the acting commissioner, Kevin Damer, and he started off by talking about Garden State and what a unique group it was, and how much he appreciated the input, the variety of schools, and so forth. He went on to talk about some of the challenges facing school districts, including hiring, funding. He talked about the high impact tutoring grant, of which we have one. He talked about literacy, mental health and wellness, and AI and information literacy. Then there was a panel that included state legislators, a senator, an assemblywoman, assemblyman, and 2 superintendents. And they discussed some similar topics, funding, AI. There are lots of new legislators on both sides, and they're hoping to make sure that education is viewed through a bipartisan lens, so that's what we can hope too. They talked about the irony that New Jersey is the top state in the country, or 1 or 2 with Massachusetts, but if you listen to the news, that's not the impression that you get. The residency requirement for teachers was discussed, and the fact that teacher preparation programs in New Jersey used to be producing 7,000 candidates a year, and now it's around 2,200 because of the lack of enrollment in teacher preparation. There was also a discussion about the testing and how there are probably lots of problems with the test, in addition to the fact that we can't look at the test scores like we used to, because the tests keep changing, the cut scores keep changing. Talked about updating CUSAC, which is used to evaluate districts, and Scotch Plains Fanwood has been a trustee district for many, many years and was re-elected to a new 3-year term.
Thank you. Questions?
Not a question, but I would just add to that as is typical at the Garden State annual meeting, the legislators who were present represented both sides of the aisle, that's how they do it.
Any other liaison reports? No? Okay. We shall move on to workshops. Request to attend workshops. Workshop reports. No. We have a resolution to name the naming of the school hallway between the old and new buildings as the Heisey Hallway. So do we have a motion to approve the naming of the Heisey Hallway in accordance with...
It's actually the Heisey Highway.
Highway, sorry.
Yeah, no, it's not your view.
Highway.
Second.
Any comments, questions, concerns?
Happy that we were able to honor Dr. Heisey.
Yeah. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Is there a speed limit?
If you don't run into all the tables. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes from the May 7th meeting?
So moved.
Ms. Winkler, Ms. Boroff, any comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We are now on our second and final public comment section. In accordance with Scotch Plains Federal Public Bylaw 01640165, the meeting will be open for 15 minutes for public comment, maximum 3 minutes per speaker. Speakers addressing superintendent items, business functions, and other board business will be heard first. If time remains, speakers may address other matters. Speakers, please state your name and the town in which you reside. Please note, boards use public comment period as an opportunity to listen to citizen concerns, but do not debate issues or enter into a question and answer session or cross-examination between the public and or individual members. Be aware that not all issues brought before the board will be resolved that evening. Boards may respond to public comment by seeking additional information or by delegating authority to investigate the issue to the superintendent or her designee. So I will now open the second and final public speaking portion of the 23-24 school year.
Just checking to make sure I don't want to let somebody else go. Derek Morris, Fanwood. First of all, I'd like to give a shout out to Dr. Heisey. I don't think I have been to a sporting event, a football game, or any sporting event that that man has not shown up at. And showing up is such an important thing to support the kids, and I really appreciated that in him. I really think we need to look at the published numbers for the teacher ratios. Obviously, that doesn't match the classroom sizes. Is there some way to produce something? I'm trying to help you to get, the word out. Hey, look, they have 25 kids in this class. They have, 25 kids and 3 aides or whatever. Is there some way to get that drilled down for the pre-K through 5th grade? I get it. When it gets older, it gets kind of messy with different electives and everything. But is there some way to get that out to the public so that we could see that? Secondly, and this is going to seem kind of weird coming from me, but I'm a math guy, okay, which that's not weird, but I'm a little bothered by finding out what a teacher aide makes in this district. I think it's a travesty. Here we're having them take DEI courses while they're almost slaves. It's really wrong. The most important thing in a family, the most important thing is getting food on the table, and we're not giving them a living wage. You literally could get a job tomorrow at Chick-fil-A and make more than a teacher's aide in this district. It's not right. And here we're giving them extra training and everything. Every extra training you do is you're lowering their hourly wage. Can that training at least be online training so that if they have to get another job, which most of them probably have to, because they can't live on $22,000 a year. There are administrative assistants in our district who make 3 times what a teacher's aide makes. It's not right. We're supposed to be all about the kids, and we want to have nice facilities and everything, but let's look at the employees too. And this one is I think it's egregious, and we don't marry up to what other districts are doing, and I think we should do something about it. And I know that's going to be an unpopular thing with taxpayers. Totally get it, but I think we got to get our priorities in order. And last of all, congratulations to the softball team. They had a great season, and I was very pleased that Coach G has been crushing it. And I was actually planning to go to the next game, and then you went and lost that nail biter. And another shout out to the volleyball team. The boys volleyball team had another tremendous season. Man, I wish they won that game. But it was just a really good season. But anyway, like I said, if there's something you guys could do about reformulating compared to other towns, this is what all companies do. They compare similar jobs in surrounding towns. And we want the best teacher aides. And I know there's nobody else here, so is it all right if I just continue for a second? Or do you want me to sit down and get back up?
Nope, keep going.
Okay. So again, one of the things, and this just,
We're not going to get into 15 minutes.
Yeah, there you go. I got all 15. Can I sit down while I talk? One of the things, obviously, we heard about shortages of teachers, right? Do we have a pipeline from teacher aide to teacher? Is that something we could look at? Maybe help them out, getting, create a program with the Union County College where you could get some extra, courses and things, and maybe, I'm sure the teachers know the good teacher aides that maybe are the ones that you might want to talk to about going into a program like that. We're doing it for students. Why don't we do it for these teacher aides? We have an awful lot of them, and those are potential teachers. And I know personally, some are certified teachers as it is right now. So again, maybe if that was, available to them, that would be another, benefit. Anyway, thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Norris. Any other public comment? Seeing none, I will close the second and final. Upcoming scheduled meetings are listed below. For the good of the order, who wants to start? Sure. Dr. Kenny?
I'm wishing everyone a fun but safe summer. And coming back to what Nancy said about the Garden State Coalition of Schools, several of us were at that meeting. It was very informative, and Nancy herself was elected vice president. So congratulations to Nancy. And most of us were at the various moving up ceremonies for Nettingham and Terrell, as well as the graduation for the Scotch Plains High School, and all of the events were beautiful and moving. The students did an excellent job. The administrators, teachers, and PTA members did an excellent job with each of the ceremonies. And the 7th grade bands playing for each of those, and then of course the band at the high school and the special choir. We really enjoyed it in spite of being 90+ degrees. And we're so proud of all our graduates. And I really thank them all and wish them well in their future endeavors. So thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Kay.
I want to thank Syra again for being our student rep for the last 2 years on the board, and I want to congratulate you on your graduation and wish you all the best at school, and warn you that we may show up for some of your home games. So,
and if I may footnote, she's our first student rep who has come back to a board meeting post-graduation.
That's commitment.
We should name a hallway after her.
Steph, I definitely second that, and appreciate Mac and look forward to having him next year. I did want to mention, because I am one of the people that waited, despite being on the board, waited until my child was a senior to go visit and see the senior projects. And so it was an awesome surprise to see the commitment that these students put into the work that they did, and many which will lead to future projects, just even the courtyard, and how much for the environment, the improvement in the courtyard is, and the educational opportunities, as Syra mentioned, the career opportunities. But it was just so impressive to really walk through the senior projects and watched two kids that had created 9 levels of game, and then at the end you solved a math puzzle. It was quite amazing. So kudos to everyone for that. Have a great summer, and that's it.
And that was the largest collection of senior projects to date.
Was it? It was amazing.
The largest group. Other things for the good of the order? Anyone? No?
There's no drop-offs, so we're good for that.
I just want to thank everybody. I think we had it was a really good year. I also do want to thank our grounds and maintenance crew as well as our custodians, because I think without them, they don't get enough recognition. The graduations wouldn't have went off like they did. Our athletic fields wouldn't look like they do. Our setups for our musicals and everything else wouldn't be, as they are. So we definitely need to, make sure we continue to thank that group. They do a really great job. It's a tireless job, and a lot of them are working outside in this heat. So kudos to them. Congratulations again, Syra. Obviously was fortunate enough to congratulate you on stage, and enjoy the summer.
And just to add to that, Evan Parada, thank you, and for recruiting our students to videotape our board meetings. It's very important that we share this information with the public, and we couldn't do it without you.
I just have one last thing to say, to make a note. And we recognize that there's certainly a gap with the teacher's aides, but to make a reference about slaves was inappropriate. I just wanted to say that. It's deplorable.
Evan, Sarah.
Oh, Syra.
I just wanted to say thank you guys for this opportunity. It's been really amazing being on the board, and just thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else? Seeing no one, we're going to reconvene into executive session to discuss subjects concerning the superintendent evaluation. No action will be taken. So do we have a motion to go into exec?
So moved.
We have a second.
Second.
Any comments, questions? No? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We are going back into exec.